Prince William County 21 years ago and have lived in the same neighborhood for the last 18 years with 6 children ranging from age 2 to 19. Muneer has served several leadership roles in Prince William, including Human Rights Commissioner, Hilton Performing Arts Center Executive Committee member, Health and Human Services Commission Board member, Transportation Strategy Planning Board member, and many more. He currently serves on several organizations and boards, including the Prince William County Chamber of Commerce, Vice Chair of the American Public Transportation Association Communications and Controls Security Working Group, and the George Mason University SciTech Advisory Board of Directors. The second candidate is John Gray.
Prince William County's premier civic organization is committed towards educating our community about important matters affecting it. This evening, I want to share with you my vision for our beautiful county. I envision it a hybrid of sorts, where there's something that satisfies everyone's desires. We're rural, semi-rural, and suburban, and we should strive to preserve this wonderful way of life for our future generations. And we can do this if we plan carefully and do not overreach. I hope tonight to further discuss my vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scoggins. The second opening statement is Muneer Bai. Muneer?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to start with thanking Committee of 100, which I have had the pleasure of working with back in the early 2000s, and also the League of Women Voters for hosting this wonderful event and allowing the community to get to know the candidates and where we stand. 21 years ago, when I moved into this county, it was a very green county. Today, when I drive on my road, it's no longer a green road. There's a lot of cars that go down that 2-lane highway. I remember me and my wife, when we drove down that road 19 years ago to buy the house, we were like kind of turned in the middle of the road, we turned back because we were afraid going any further. That's how, basically, we were the only car driving. I have been blessed with neighbors, community members, and others around me who have helped basically really create an environment that allowed us to foster an environment for our kids to grow into wonderful human beings. This community has a lot to offer. The divisive nature of things that's creeping into our system today has to stop. I want to bring the vision of one Prince William to the Prince William County, where we as a community can come together to live, work, retire, and enjoy. Cherish what it has to offer and leave a better place for our kids and grandkids. We have inherited a lot of good things. We can only make it better if we work together as one community, not against each other. When we work together, we can solve a lot of problems. When we work against each other, we block the means of communication. We become enemies eventually of each other, and we know what's happening as a result in our country. I look forward to answering the questions, and thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Mr. Bay. The third opening statement will be given by John Gray. Mr. Gray.
Good evening. Thank you for having all of us here this evening. I also want to thank the Committee of 100 and the League of Women Voters and our moderator, Bruce Potter. Thank you. What you're going to hear tonight are several different visions of where we each see Prince William County over the next several years. I formed my vision in going door-to-door campaigning. And in that process, the first overwhelming question I've heard pertains to public safety, and that is specifically in reference to the enforcement and continuation of 287G. And everyone here knows what that is because we've heard about it. Excuse me. If you elect me your chair, I promise that is this still working? Okay. I promise that I will continue to work with the Sheriff's Department to enforce its agreement with ICE. The second most important question I hear asking is taxes. Taxes are simply too high. Taxes reduce the quality of life. More money and more of your money is going to pay taxes. We simply have to reduce the tax burden in Prince William County. The next most important issue I hear is jobs. Where are the jobs? We keep hearing jobs. We have to get jobs in Prince William County, and we will. The way we'll get jobs in Prince William County is we have to lower the real estate tax rate. The real estate tax rate in Prince William County is the highest in our surrounding counties. When an executive of a Fortune 500 company looks to move, they look at the real estate tax rate first. We have to reduce that real estate tax rate, which will attract businesses, which will create jobs, which will create revenues, and which will reduce your individual tax burden. That improves your quality of life. So in closing, if we implement my three priorities, public safety, lower taxes, and jobs, I guarantee you that this will improve your quality of life and make Prince William have a brighter and more prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. And finally, Ann Wheeler, Ms. Wheeler.
Good evening. My name is Ann Wheeler, and I'm the Democratic nominee for the chair of the Board of County Supervisors. Is it going to keep on? Oh, you turn it on. I'd like to begin by thanking the Committee of 100 and the League of Women Voters for having us here this evening, both excellent organizations, though I am very biased myself, and having been part of both of those. I've lived here for the last 20 years, and I believe that Prince William County is a wonderful place to live, and I want to make sure that it fulfills its promise. I believe that we have strong and real issues regarding our schools, our transit options, and economic development, and I'd like to address those when I'm chair of the board. There were 3 words that were on my business cards, and they've always been vision, integrity, and inclusivity. I'd like to have a vision for Prince William County that includes everyone, but also manages the growth that we've had over the last 20 years since I've lived here. I often joke that I came here, I didn't realize 100,000 people were going to follow me, but they did. And I think that growth can be managed better. I believe we need transit options. I believe that we need to make our business climate more attractive in order to attract businesses here. And last, I would say that being the chair is about leadership and about tone. We've seen this week some differences and contrasts in tone on display, and I'd like to say that I think we need to bring a positive, wonderful tone to Prince William County, one that is broad and inclusive with everyone in it, and is welcoming. We have a great county, and I want to let people out there know it. Thank you.
All right. Mine's not working. There we go. Thank you, Ms. Wheeler. Thank you all for your opening statements. So the order of the questions, we've also drawn for that, and Mr. Scoggins do the first question as well, and then after his response, we will go down the table in order so that it's easier to keep track of the responses, and then the second question will go to Mr. Begg, and then so forth from there. So, and again, each candidate has 1 minute to respond to each question. So, Mr. Scoggins, the first question, it is clear that development is going to continue to be an important issue in the county going forward. What new resources should county government, particularly the planning office, obtain in order to assist the Board of County Supervisors to ensure the best development and quality of life?
I would recommend that you said the planning office?
Yes, the county government and particularly the planning office.
Well, number one, I think the planning office needs to probably reevaluate really what it wants to do, because as I've seen over the last maybe 10 or 15 years that I've been here, is that the development's been kind of hodgepodge. It just seems to be popping up according to maybe what developer has put in for to do a development. But I think the planning office needs to make sure that it follows a comprehensive plan and also have a more logical way of having our development, and also help to come up with some policies to help increase economic development, because without economic development, all the plans are going to work. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could pass the microphone down to the same question, Mr. Begg.
We had a wonderful meeting last night about the rural crescent, and we have had one more town hall earlier in the week. What we understood is basically development is happening haphazardly on an ad hoc basis all over the place. Wherever there's a piece of land, it's being taken and built on. Planning Commission has to understand that we have a strategic plan that is already in place. allowing the zoning changes into strategic plans to allow high density or other things are basically, when the citizens put input into that plan to build it, you are basically negating that input of the citizens. We need to build on what has been agreed upon by the county citizens, not by the developers. We have to reinforce what we took the citizens' time to develop, and then make sure that the board is just there to execute upon it. Board is not an authority to overrule, but board is a servant that serves the community and executes upon the wills of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. We're talking about development being an important issue going forward, and the question is, what new resources should the county government, particularly the planning office, obtain in order to assist the Board of County Supervisors to ensure the best development and quality of life?
Okay. Clearly, this question is pertaining to the rural crescent, and as your chairman, I will preserve and protect the rural crescent as it's presented in the current comprehensive plan. That reflects what the citizens want. Comprehensive plan should not reflect what county staff wants. In my opinion, the county planning office has simply been hijacked by the developers. Developers are good. We need the developers. But we have the development area, and that's where the concentration of development should be. The rural crescent is not the area for development. If it's developed, you, the current taxpayers of Prince William County, will pay approximately $300 million in additional taxes. It works out to about 58% increase in your real estate taxes. That will reduce your quality of life. We need to preserve the rural crescent and work development in the development area. That will improve your quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wheeler.
So one of the issues that we have with land use is the fact that our comprehensive plan is stale and hasn't been redone. Usually comprehensive plans are redone every 5 or 6 years. Ours hasn't been redone for a while. That's right. So one of the first things I would want to do is redo the comprehensive plan. That's why we're always fighting about stale zoning and things going forward. The tools that the planning office needs going forward to do good smart growth, and there are things like conservation easements and PDRs and TDRs and things that we can do to preserve open space. You know, I figure that it will take a year to redo the comprehensive plan, but we can all get in a room, fight it out, and at least we'll have something going forward. Because
right now we have, most people would be surprised to know that we actually have 41 data centers in Prince William County. They have enough on the books for construction for the next 10 years. They are the next growing center. We are a prime location for them. I believe all of us have met with them. I'm in support of the data centers, and we should do what we can on their contribution to the real estate tax rate. While it's high, we get very efficient use of it because they don't use much of our services. That's what we really need. It will improve the commercial tax base as compared to the real estate tax rate, which will help improve the quality of life because they'll take up all the taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wheeler.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. You know, data centers are moving in. I think we actually have 46 now, but they're moving. They're going so fast, it's hard to keep up with them. You know, what I've been thinking about, what are the businesses that go along with data centers? You know, there are definitely businesses that service data centers that might be able to be moved into the county. There might be firms like data analytics firms that need lots of computing power that need to be located. Those are the kind of things that we can sort of expand on to become a technological hub. But I would also say that to attract businesses, we also need to grow our own here. A great example would be FH Fur. It was started in a small business park and is now a large, very large plumbing company and HVAC contractor throughout the county. You know, and in addition, I would say that to attract them here, we need to have good roads and good housing, but we also need to have good schools. Businesses will not move here or settle here or start here if we don't have a strong school system. I disagree that the first thing they look at is tax rate. I think the first thing those executives look at is the school system.
Thank you. Mr. Scoggins.
I think another way to attract businesses here is to have a proper tone to make businesses want to be here. I think that in the last few years, maybe more than that, Prince William County has not been considered a place where some businesses want to come to because of the tone of the county. That's number one. And I think number two, I do agree with a good educational system, and I think that we need to broaden it to include vocational and tech and vocational school, because there are many jobs that will come here. I think that if they knew that they had a viable workforce, trained workforce of young people and others to help service the business. But many businesses say that they do not have people they can go to come and work with them. So I think we really do need to broaden our training of VOTEC and trades. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Baig.
Education leads to innovation, and innovation leads to economic development. Simple roadmap. If we have the school system that is preparing the kids for the next millennium, then we will have the businesses who are looking for that talent come and locate here. We can have data centers or any other institutions here, but if we do not have the resource pool to support them, they will be short-lived. And also the problem we're going to create is we will have people commuting from other counties into our county, creating a traffic nightmare again. We need to invest in our education so that we have the kids that can move into George Mason and other universities right here and become those next generation job seekers. I serve on 7 different boards right now, and all of them are education related, because education is my passion. I want to make sure that we have the kids who are having the skills that are needed, particularly in the cyber world today. I'm a small business that runs cybersecurity right here in Prince William County. 33,000 jobs available today in Northern Virginia in the cybersecurity field. We can't fill them, and I don't think we're going to fill them anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question goes, we'll come back to this side of the table again. The next question goes first to Mr. Scoggins. Mr. Scoggins, each of you has characterized schools as part of your campaign platform. Are you in favor of the existing revenue share agreement in place to fund their schools? And if you're not in favor of it, what changes would you propose?
To be very
Hold it close to your mouth.
To be very
blunt, I'm
not
in favor of the current,
You just keep this one on, I think.
To be very blunt, I'm not really in favor of the current revenue sharing agreement with the school system. I'm not saying that they should not have a defined amount of revenue coming in, but I do think it should be arranged in such a way that there's more accountability as to what the school system does. And I would recommend maybe reducing it a little bit, but reduce it in such a way that the school board or the school system will have to come and vie for the amount of money that they want, because it may be that they may need more money, but there should be a way in which we can have the flexibility there to ensure accountability and also make it so that there's a guaranteed amount of money that goes to the school system. But I think the amount right now is a little bit, as guaranteed, is a little bit too high, and I'm in favor of accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Baig.
Education. As I said before, education is key for me. Our school system we have to have key KPIs between the school system and the board. If there is money going to the school system, what are we going to get as a community back? What are the key drivers? I work in the commercial industry, private sector all my life. I ran Microsoft's Global Information Security Program. Only thing that I have learned across my life is if you are investing in something, what's your ROI back? What are you getting in return? If my school, my best school today, which is Osborne Park, is number 957 in the country and number 25 in the state, that's not what the school system should be delivering to me. We should have a better ROI as to improve our schools, quality of education, provide the kids the resources needed for them to excel in the 21st century. If I'm investing in the school, what am I getting in return? If my best school in the county is number 957 in the country, that's not $1.24 billion budget is giving me. And number 25th in the state, that's not what $1.24 billion should give me. We need to make sure that our school system is producing the kids that are ready for the next century. Cyber, Trade is great, but even trade schools right now need computers and cybersecurity. So we cannot live in an abyss where we think that something without the computer and technology is going to work. It's not going to. We have to prepare them for the next generation.
Thank you. Again, sorry about the microphone issues. They're doing their best up here. Mr. Gregg?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. We're talking about the revenue sharing agreement in place between the school board and the Board of Supervisors, and whether you are in favor of it, or if not, what changes you would propose.
I'm no longer in favor of the revenue sharing agreement. I believe it's outused. I don't think it's usefulness. So I would propose that what we need to do is throw more money at the school board. Doesn't do anything, whether we gave 55% or 57%. We're not looking at where that money is spent. We can throw 60%. If we don't look at what that money is, how that money is being spent, giving them 75% doesn't work. And that's why I don't think the revenue sharing agreement works anymore. I also believe that it doesn't work because basically, and no disrespect to any supervisor sitting here, like the Board of Supervisors has effectively advocated its oversight of the school board because they're giving them 57%, which the school division spends approximately, if I remember correctly, $1.4 billion. Right? Nobody can tell me all of that, and again, no disrespect to Dr. Lateef. Okay? We need to look more at what that's there. The revenue sharing agreement, in effect, doesn't allow us to do that. We just give them a flat percentage. So I would rescind the revenue sharing agreement simply so that the Board of Supervisors can get a better handle on what is being spent.
I support the revenue sharing agreement because I thought we'd stop arguing about money. What I've determined now is that the revenue sharing agreement is actually just shortchanging the school system. We have the lowest per pupil spending in the region, significantly below the people around us. You know, I think we actually have an excellent school system for the amount of money that we give them, but we still have the most overcrowded classrooms and the lowest paid teachers. So at this point, I'm ready to look and see what there are other ways to be able to fund the school system and get them to the place they want to be. You know, the revenue sharing agreement, every 1% equates to about $12 to $15 million for the school system. So I'd like to look at increasing the funding to the school system, but I also want to point out that the school system is funded only 42% by the county. You know, there's 42% by the state, and the rest is the federal government. We need to advocate at other areas for more money for the school system, especially at the state level. But we definitely, I believe, need to increase our funding to the school system. And I'll say we have an elected board for that school board, and that's why we vote on them.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Mr. Baig. Mr. Baig, if asked, should the rural crescent be protected, each of you would probably answer yes, but. What is your position on this current county land use policy and whether or not it should be maintained? If you propose any changes, please explain your priorities in that regard.
The way I look at rural crescent, I think I need a better mic first. The way I look at rural crescent is the elephant in Prince William County. That is basically the biggest topic of the town. And I was at town hall yesterday where the staff was proposing some of the changes to the system. The key thing that I'm going to come out with is when we talk about PDR, where is the money? It's like a candy that has been given to the community. Okay, here is the candy, suck it in your, put it in your mouth, and you're busy, chewing on it, just keep quiet. There is no money in the PDR. Then we look at TDR. When you have the TDR, where are you going to move the development rights to? Then we have the clustering. In either cases, we are not protecting the rural crescent. If we leave the rural crescent as is, within the next 10 years, there will be 10-acre parcels, there will be no rural crescent. If we do the PDR, there is no guarantee that the board cannot tomorrow vote 20 years from now and change that PDR into rezoning again and using the land again. Or the same goes with TDR. We need to have put the land into conservation reserve with a third party. That's how you protect the rural crescent. Other than that, there is no option. It can be always struck down.
Thank you. Mr. Gregg.
We're not violating. And that's for a number of reasons. Number one, it's been in effect for 20 years, 1998, and there's arguments good and bad that it's supposed to have expired in 2018. Well, that's not what it says. Here's my point. nobody addressed what would happen with the rural crescent after 2018. We shouldn't be discussing it now, after it expired. I think we should agree, put it in effect for another 20 years, and take our time and develop it properly, preserve it properly, or the point is, address its future properly, not in the manner which is being done now. We just went through a rural crescent study, and overwhelmingly, citizens want the rural crescent preserved. We're doing it haphazardly. We need to stop doing this planning on a haphazard, ex post facto manner. So I will absolutely continue to preserve and protect the rural crescent.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler.
So we've had the rural crescent for 20 years. And over the last 20 years, I read recently that we lost about 15,000 acres to 10-acre lots. To me, that's 1,500 homes that were moved into the rural crescent piecemeal without paying any paupers or any money to go to schools or services. I think we can do better in that regard. I am open to trying to find new ways to preserve open space. There is only 10,000 acres of large lot left in the rural crescent. And so and we're losing about 1,000 acres a year. We can piecemeal it up by 10-acre lots, that's fine, but that means it's going to be gone in 10 years, and I think we can do better than that. I would like to explore PDRs and TDRs. They have those programs in Stafford County that actually work. We could go down and learn about them. I would also like to talk about conservation easements. Conservation easements, people are saying, oh, those can't work. But there are people who are approaching us. I've already sat down and talked to them about the possibility of doing conservation easements in farmland. The state has programs in conservation easements. I believe we can preserve open space better than we're doing it now.
When it comes to the rural crescent, is sort of put a pin in it right now because it's gotten to be such a toxic issue, and around election time it gets to be even more toxic. So I think what we should do is just everyone I would say, take the emotion out of it, and we should have all the stakeholders should come together and figure out what we can do that will be positive. And it should be the stakeholders, because many people that are involved in the rural crescent probably really doesn't have anything to do with it. They've made it a political issue. So I would recommend we take some time. I would recommend what John said about taking it and doing it very judiciously, and just take the emotion out of it, because we have to do something that's going to be for the next generation. So we have to plan on that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will go.